All right, we are live. Hello, hello. Hello, Facebook. It's good to see you. My name is John Nemo, Nemo Radio on the air. Yes, it's brand new. It's a new podcast. It's a new live show. So excited to be here. So excited to be talking to you. So I want to also make sure that I get everybody. Welcome to Nemo Radio. I'm just typing in the comments here as we go. Now, if you haven't been here before, if you're new to my world, to the world of John Nemo and Nemo Radio, what I do is I'm an online course creator, a best-selling author, a trainer, a coach, a consultant, and I really specialize in a few different areas. Teaching people how to use LinkedIn to get sales leads, to get business using LinkedIn, how to use webinars to sell your products and services. I'm going to have a new course coming out on email marketing. So lots of different ways to do digital marketing online. That's my obsession. That's my fixation. So I'm really, really excited to take this to a new level, to do more live kind of TV, so to speak, right? I'm a child of the 80s, so TV was the medium back in the day. But I have a bunch of questions that people have been sending in. So I'm going to get to those. Also, for those of you that are joining, I want to make sure that I answer your questions live too. So if you have questions right now as we're here, this is your chance to pick my brain, right? Pick away. Pick as many pieces of it as you can because this is one of the number one requests I get via email and LinkedIn messages and things is, hey, I have a question about XYZ, or I have a question about, LinkedIn. Can you give me advice on this? This is your opportunity to ask me, right? And instead of it being a paid one-on-one call or a group coaching call or anything like that, this would be your chance to really ask me whatever you want. This is kind of similar to like the Reddit Ask Me Anything. I'll give you my best advice. I'll give you personal feedback. I will go and evaluate what you're trying to do. So I see lots of people joining, so welcome everyone, one and all in one. Hopefully the tech is working okay. It looks like it is. But let's start with all these great questions, baby. All right, so, and I want to give you a shout out too. So as you join in, as you leave comments, things like that, feel free to let me know kind of what your business is, what you do, and I'll definitely give you a shout out here to the audience. And this also is going to be going out on my audio podcast, Nemo Radio. So it's kind of, again, we're getting a little meta here with what I'm doing, but I want to take the content I'm creating for you, the value, and repurpose it as many ways as I can. And you should be doing the same thing. So if you're doing a Facebook Live show, take the audio from that, extract the audio, and put it out as a podcast, right? That's one way to use the audio. The second way is, obviously this can live on Facebook as a video, a promoted post, anything like that, where you're bringing value, answering questions. A third way to use this is take the video file, upload it to YouTube, put in all the right keywords. Now you have a YouTube video of you going and answering questions about certain topics. A fourth way, let's see, you could take a transcript from this, speechpad.com, for $1 a minute, or there's other services. You could turn this into a written blog post or an ebook where you're answering targeted questions, right? See how this works? There's all these different ways to take one piece of content, one thing you're doing, and then, repurpose it over and over and over again. That's the key thing to really focus on. So let's dive into some questions as we get going. If you've got questions yourself, just type them in the comments, and I'll try to answer those in the stream of consciousness mode here. But let's start with a question from Rich. Rich Zavosik, Coach Z Enterprises, CoachZ.com. I have a lot of coaches and consultants that I work with. That's kind of my sweet spot of people that I help is, and this is another thing for you watching to think about too, is who's your target audience, right? The riches are in the niches. Who's your niche audience? And I've really researched this for me. You want to be doing the same thing. And for me, what I have found is the people that do best with my trainings, my programs, who really do well, coaches, consultants, small business owners, entrepreneurs, sales professionals, those people. Brandon Clark in the house, the Amazon guru himself. Good morning, Brandon. Oh my gosh, I feel like I see you all the time and I'm always giving you shout outs. Dude, you're Tennessee's finest, part of the Nashville Mafia. But one of the things I was saying was understanding your target audience and then creating content for them and really getting deep on this. This is something I've really struggled with, and learned and refined is how do you define it? Because it's one thing to say to yourself, well, I have a target audience in mind. Here's my customer avatar, and here's the people I want to sell to. That might be different than the people that actually buy your stuff, right? That buy your coaching services, that buy your products, that buy your programs. The most valuable thing I've done for my business that you can do as well is talk to your paying customers. Talk to them. Get their demographic information. Who are they? What's their age? What's their gender? Are they married? Do they have kids? What are their hobbies? What do they love to do? And then reverse engineer all that into your content, into your advertising. So for me, knowing, the first 4 questions here are from coaches and consultants who are probably between the age of 40 and 60. I know right away, oh, good. I'm 42. They're also in their 40s to 60s. They're going to get all my 1980s jokes. I know that the type of content they're interested in, is going to be as a coach or consultant selling a product or service, and understanding too, like what drives them, right? What do they need help with? What's their focus? All those things. So we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Maybe I should get to Rich's question. Okay, Rich, Coach Z. He says, how can webinars increase my reach in the market? And what is the best way to structure a webinar? This is a great question. So how can webinars increase your reach in the market? I want to tell you a story, Rich. I want to tell you a story. It's story time. So gather around the fire, kids. Here's the deal. I just did a podcast about this, but if you think about webinars this way, I grew up as the son of 2 English teachers, and I'm looking around to see if I have a photo. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, here's a good one. Okay. Here we go. This is the power of Facebook Live. Here I am, circa 1979. There's my dad in the background, rocking. Look at the plaid pants. Can we get a close-up on Dad's plaid pants? There's my baby photo. Aw, right? But here it is. Here's me in the 70s. I grew up as the son of 2 English teachers, Coach Z, and what I learned, what I observed growing up was that teaching sells, right? Teaching really sells. So especially for coach, consultant, entrepreneur, speaker, author, product creator, whatever it is, my parents were both teachers. And, in the 70s and 80s when they taught at universities and colleges, they sold their knowledge, right? They were hired by a school, they taught a classroom full of people, but they were limited to that small class, to that university, right? To a physical location. For webinars, the way that it expands your reach in the market is now your classroom is global. Now your classroom is the entire planet. I just had a guy this morning in India who went through one of my webinars by my Webinars at Work training. Right? I mean, in India, while I was sleeping, he went through, watched it, converted it into rupees, and bought, right? So, that's my global classroom. The way that webinars increase your reach in the market is it takes you, Rich, from wherever you live, whatever city you're in, and it takes you to the entire planet, right? Because the internet is the great equalizer. You can go on and you can literally reach anyone in the world with your content, with your knowledge. And let me put in, hey, Stella says, fine morning for Nemo Radio. Love it. Stella, good to see you. So let me also put this in before I forget the training that I'm talking about, because this is really answering Rich's question. So Coach Z is asking how do webinars, so let's put in free training for webinars that expand your reach, etc. And I'm going to link that up. All right, so that's the landing page for that. Hey, good morning, Jeff Metz. Good to see you, buddy. So here's the deal. To answer Coach Z's question, how do webinars increase your reach? It reaches a global audience. You're now global, man. You can reach anyone, okay? And the way that webinars work with attracting an audience and all that, Facebook ads, whatever, you can target specific people in any part of the world with your content, with your Facebook ads, with your guest blogs. You can get anyone in the world at any time to consume your content, to come into your classroom, right? My parents were stuck in one classroom in Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois, in 1979 teaching people. My classroom is global, right? There's no limit to your reach in the marketplace with webinars. That's the first answer. What's the best way to structure a webinar, Rich? There are 9 specific steps, okay? And I cover all these in depth in my full Webinars That Work training program, but let me just kind of riff on them a little bit here on this live broadcast, on the podcast, the 9 specific steps to a successful webinar. So let me go over and pull those up. And then what I'll do is actually kind of read through them and give you just kind of a quick explanation of how to structure it, because there is a very specific way to do this. You've got to follow a specific set of steps. Webinars are not done willy-nilly. They're not done just kind of randomly guessing, oh, I think you should do it in this order and throw this in and throw that out. I've done webinars for 5 years, right? And I've had a ton of success. I've been able to do really well with this, build a six-figure business. I've spent thousands of hours researching this. And every successful webinar that you'll ever see follows these 9 simple steps. So let me go through them really quick to answer Coach Z. I love that name. I could say that all day. Coach Z! All right. There's 9 steps to structure a successful webinar. So if you're listening, listen up close. If you're watching, take notes, scribble furiously, or just go on my free training. I'll help you. I'll cover it way more in depth. But the first step is obviously simple. It's the introduction or the warm-up. Here, let me see if I can paste these into the comments. That might be easier. So I'm going to paste them in. Let's see if this works. Hey, chum, good to see you. Molly, hey, my neighbor's on. I love it. All right, this is awesome. This is the power of Facebook. I went all the way around the block. These are the 9 simple steps I just posted in that every successful webinar utilizes. Let me talk about them a little bit, and then if you want more, if you really want to dive in deep, I've got a full training on them as well. So step 1 is very simple, the introduction, the warm-up. You've got to get people feeling comfortable, feeling welcome, just like when they walk into a meeting. Step 2 is called validation. That's where you really reaffirm and reassure people you're in the right place. You made a good choice. You're really a smart cookie for being here. That's step 2. Step 3 is the opportunity. We've got to always keep our webinars focused on what's in it for the attendee, right? Here's the opportunity. If you pay attention today, if you stick around, here's what you're going to discover. Here's what you're going to learn. And I actually, inside the full webinars that we're training, I give you the exact scripts and phrases. I've got 75 pages written out, like you just read into the microphone. How great is that? Exactly what to say for each of these steps, but I'll do it very quickly here on the Facebook Live. So step 3 is the opportunity. Step 4 is the story, the hero's journey, they call it. Like, hey, you know what? I was once in your shoes. Because people have to relate to you. They have to have empathy. They have to feel like you're not some, superhero that just immediately had success doing whatever you do. They want to know your journey, right? You think of Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, that's a famous hero's journey. But basically, boiled down to a nutshell, I was once like you. I had this challenge. I had this desire. I had this dream. I stumbled around. I had trouble. I had failures. I got up. I learned. I discovered the solution. And now I'm here on the other side, right? So for me, it might have been I started a new business. This is my LinkedIn Riches webinar, the hero's journey I do. Let me put that one in too, because that's another one, the LinkedIn Riches training. So let me put that one in while I'm thinking of it. Because you know what? You always got to be sharing resources and tools. So if you haven't been on the LinkedIn Riches webinar, LinkedIn free training, I'm going to paste that one in too. LinkedInriches.com/join2, because I realize there's audio listeners too. But so for the LinkedIn Riches webinar, the hero's journey is very simple. I say, I jumped off a cliff really in 2012. I quit my day job. I was bored. I wanted to start my own business, and I needed money fast. I needed leads. I was starting a whole new business from scratch, didn't have money, couldn't travel, couldn't buy ads. And so I found on LinkedIn a quick way to find my ideal audience, to dial into that, to find leads, to engage them, to close deals, generated 6 figures in 90 days. The rest is history, right? But I had this challenge. I had to find leads for my business fast, right? B2B leads. LinkedIn was the answer. Here's what I discovered. Now I'm going to share the rest with you, right? That's the hero's journey with LinkedIn Riches. So that's part 4 of the story. Part 5, the next step to structuring a successful webinar is the training, right? You've got to use story as well during this part as a delivery vehicle. So for example, instead of just telling you when I'm training you on the webinar, instead of just saying, hey, you know what? You really need to make your LinkedIn profile what I call client facing. It has to be about your clients and the problems you solve for them, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's good advice. That's good strategy, but people forget it. Like, it just goes in one ear and out the other. Instead, I use story as a delivery vehicle. So for example, on the LinkedIn Riches webinar, when I'm talking about create a profile that's client-facing, I tell a story from a movie called Wreck-It Ralph, which is this animated Disney movie. Again, knowing my audience, child of the 80s, people that are between 40 and 60, they remember the video arcade. Remember we used to go to the video arcade, we had our tube socks pulled up, we had our handful of quarters, and we went in and played video games. And Wreck-It Ralph is a nostalgia kind of trip back to the 80s video game world. Anyway, there's a character in there named Fix-It Felix. He's the most popular guy in video game land. He has this golden hammer, and he's a handyman. He fixes everyone's problems. He solves everyone's problems. So I tell the story of Fix-It Felix, and then I say, make your LinkedIn profile like that. Here are the problems I solve for my clients. Just like Fix-It Felix, I'm a handyman. I help people, achieve X, Y, Z with my services that I provide. That's using story as a delivery vehicle. Now, you can use a pop culture story like Fix-It Felix. You can use your own experience, your own life story. I use a lot of pop culture because it's fun, right? And so, for example, when I'm riffing about solving your client's problems with your LinkedIn profile, making it client-facing, I quote my favorite 1980s lyrical poet, Vanilla Ice, and I say, if you got a problem, I'll solve it. Now check out the moves while my DJ revolves it. I just did Ice Ice Baby. I knew I could work that in. Okay, so the next step 6 of 9 for doing a successful webinar, structuring it, and we're only on the first question. Man, Coach Z, is the transitioning to the sales pitch. And this is where so many people get stuck. And again, I give you an exact script inside my full training program, the exact words to say, but it's something along the lines of basically after the training, you've just, demonstrated a ton of value. You've really shown people, you know your stuff. Now you come in and you say, let me ask you a question. Or you say, are you finding this valuable? Or do you want even more? Who wants more? Do you want to see more? There's ways where you can kind of transition and get people's permission. This is a key part of step 6 is permission marketing. There's a great book I'm reading by Seth Godin. He wrote it, I think, in 1999, which is phenomenal. That's even more relevant today, but it's called permission marketing, getting people's permission to sell to them, right? Part of that is asking them or, enticing them to say, are you excited? Do you want more of this? Great. That's step 6. That's the transition. Step 7 is the sales pitch, right? Where you lay out in a very specific format, and there is a method to the madness. And again, I give you all the scripts inside the paid training, but basically laying out your offer, your sales pitch. So 7 and 8 are kind of together, the sales pitch and the offer, in a way where it really enhances what you've done. And this is why I love webinars, because if you've done your job in steps 1 through 6, where you've set everything up, you've told a great story, you've done a great training, your sales pitch and your offer is a natural extension. So I think about a guy like Brandon Clark, who's on right now. Brandon has an incredible coaching program, an incredible training about how to sell on Amazon. The guy makes millions of dollars a year, does an incredible thing. He's launched a new business showing other people how to do it. So if I'm you, Brandon, if I'm part of the Nashville Mafia, what I'm doing is creating a webinar that basically says, hey, do you want to learn how I made $6 million last year selling products on Amazon without any overhead, without a warehouse, without anything? Like, you just did it, right? You have this whole system where you tapped into Amazon's, billions of buyers and rocked it. So what Brandon could do for his webinar is warm us up, tell his story, his hero's journey. Hey, I was once this and that and wanted a business where I could have these benefits, didn't want to open a warehouse, didn't want to test products that weren't working. I've discovered on Amazon you could find the products that are working, you can drop ship them, blah, blah, blah. Do it in a fun way, an entertaining way. But at the end of that, Brandon's already shown me, I've already gotten enough value out of his free training, free tips to say, geez, I could hop over to Amazon right now and start making money. This is incredible. The natural extension of that is Brandon saying, how would you like me to personally help you? Or how would you like me to give you my exact system? I will hand it to you for $2,000 or whatever the training course is, right? See how the sale is the natural extension of the teaching and the training. So this is why webinars are so powerful. This is why they're amazing, because you basically get to teach people for 60 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, and get them excited, see how they could be utilizing your product, your service to get the benefits they want. And then steps 7 and 8 are just an extension of that. And step 9, the FAQ, is optional if you're doing a live webinar or a hybrid one where you basically just come on and answer more questions, right? It's very simple. So that's a lot to cover, but that was only our first question from Coach Z. So Chum is asking a question live, so I want to get to that. And then also I've got a bunch of pre-written questions. So anybody else that's writing in, if you've got questions, let me know. Also, so Chum says, what if you don't have a huge successful story yet or are just building your business and aren't making $100,000? Well, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, you've still got a journey, so you've still got something to sell and tell, right? So Chum, tell me what you do. Write in the comments what your business model is, what you do, what the product or service is, and I can kind of tell you. Okay, Brandon says, can you go over how to make a webinar and then show it on Facebook Live as a replay? Yeah, so Brandon, there's a couple different ways to do that. I'm waiting for Chum to tell me more, and then I'll answer both questions. Brandon, so if you get Webinar Jam, the new version coming out this summer, will stream to Facebook Live while you're doing the webinar. You can also, I don't know yet if you can do this. I know there's some different tools. There's a brand new tool coming out. I just got an email about it yesterday where you can upload, Russell Brunson's already doing it, some other people. You can upload a pre-made video as a Facebook Live video. So that's what I would do, Brandon, is just take the recording of your webinar and upload it to Facebook Live. I will find what that tool is, and I'll email it to you, or I'll share it with the group. So that's coming. I know some of the platforms out there now for webinars like Zoom and Webinar Jam, the new updated version coming out this summer, will also kind of cross post or cross promote or cross share your actual webinar inside of Facebook as a video. So I think that answers your question. Chum, tell me more about your business and I'll tell you what I would do. I mean, I think the other thing too, Chum, that you can kind of do that some people I've seen do, John Lee Dumas, Pat Flynn, some of those guys, was basically sharing their journey, kind of saying, I'm the crash test dummy. As I'm building the business, you're going to build it with me. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, what's working, what's not working. I'll share, income reports, and I'll share results, and I'll share tactics and strategies, because people like to take the journey with you. The other thing too is, if you don't have a great story yet, get one, right? Create one. That's part of it. Like, the big fallacy with internet marketing, digital marketing, webinars, online training is there's too many people selling you just selling your dream back to you, basically. Does that make sense? I'm on the beach and I have it easy and I make millions of dollars because I figured out Facebook ads. It's like they don't really have any success other than promising to sell you a method to help you get your dream. Like with webinars that work and with LinkedIn Riches, like I used them both for years before I created the training programs. I used them to build my own business. I used them to build my own success story, so that by the time I had, built a successful agency using LinkedIn and getting clients and generating revenue, now I could turn around and sell that recipe. So you've got to go into your kitchen, Chum, and you got to start cooking, right? Start cooking, start experimenting, start figuring out what's working, what isn't, get some success, get some results, and then build off it. So let me get to more questions. We got millions of written questions. My wife said don't chew ice on the air, so I will not chew ice from my energy drink here. Oh, Alejandro is here. You're watching the video. I just got a LinkedIn alert from Alejandro saying he's watching the video. What's up, man? Say hi in the comments. Alejandro, this is so weird. This is so weird. Guess whose question is next? Let me look at that. Alejandro's question is next. I just got an alert from him on LinkedIn saying he's watching. So here we go, dude. How meta is this? Alejandro Sonoja. He says, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to know how, this is a great question, by the way. There he is. Hey, buddy. I'm reading your question right now, so perfect timing. Alejandro says, I would like to know, how do you conduct research to know that the ability and willingness to pay exists with your target market before creating the webinar? And he's saying, I ask this because sometimes people have problems they want to solve. We may have solutions, yet they're not willing to pay. Thus, creating the webinar might not be valuable or profitable. And Alejandro, you have a business called Elisha Consulting, elishaconsulting.com. Cool, man. So, great question. How do you know if people are willing to pay for your product or service? People are always willing to pay. People pay $6 to $7 for a cup of coffee every single day. They'll pay you for your services and your time if you demonstrate enough value to solve the problem. Now, I'm totally with you. I've done this before where, you create a whole product, you create everything, and then people don't buy it. And usually the reason is, like you said, we haven't researched it enough. So my number one thing that I like to do, and I'll actually link, I have a free ebook on this. So let me go over. It's called How to Determine the Perfect Webinar Topic. Let me get over, and I got to actually find the PDF link. And if you're on my email list, you would have gotten this the other day. And if you're not, you should sign up, webinarsthatwork.net. But let me go pull this up, and I'm going to paste this into the comments for you, Alejandro. But basically, what I do, what I teach people to do before they create a webinar, even before they create a product or service, research tip for webinars and products, and if people will pay, etc. Here it is. That is a PDF I just linked. There's no opt-in or anything like that. You don't have to sign up for anything. It's just a free ebook I created. It's called How to Create the Perfect Webinar Topic. And then here's the deal. So Alejandro, what I do is I run something called a one-question survey. It's a brilliant idea, and it's very simple, okay? All right, so hey, Alejandro, thanks for sharing the video, man. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Secret is the one question survey. And what you do is you write, and I'm writing this in the comments, so watch the comments. What do you want to know more about blank? What I do, Alejandro, is I send everyone in my niche audience, my target audience that I think would want to pay for the webinar, would want to pay for the service. I send them an email, or I run a Facebook ad, or I do a social media update. It says, hey, do you have like 3 seconds? I would love your answer to one burning question I have. And I have a whole script inside my Webinars That Work program and LinkedIn Riches, a whole script, a whole series of emails, all kinds of stuff. But the short answer is you send them one question. What do you want to know more about blank? So Alejandro, for you, I don't know tell me who your target audience is. Tell me what you're trying to sell, and I could give you an example. For me, if I want to know, will people pay for LinkedIn Riches training? Will they pay for my LinkedIn products? I would write the one question survey as, what do you want to know more about LinkedIn? Question mark. And then people write back, how do I sell on it? How do I do this? How do I do that? And then I go, oh, okay, I can create certain types of products to answer those questions. And as far as pricing goes, you've got to know your target audience, right? And so much of it, Alejandro, depends on, do they know you, like you, and trust you yet? Like, it's hard to get somebody who has never ever met you, right, and never talked to you, never seen your face, to come on cold and see an offer for a $2,000 consulting program and buy it. So you've got to warm people up. You've got to demonstrate your value, demonstrate your expertise. But you kind of, when you run some of this research, when you run the one question survey, the reason I love doing that is you get so much insight into what people want help with, what they're struggling with, what their problems are. And all of us will pay money to solve our problems. If I'm thirsty and I'm dying of thirst and you have cold water, I'm going to pay you for it. And depending on how desperate I am, I might pay quite a bit of money for it, even above what water should cost, which is free, right? So much of it depends on your audience, what they typically pay for, what does the market dictate? So I would have to really dig more into your business to know, what are you trying to sell? Is it an online training course? Will those go from anywhere from $400 to $4,000 to $5,000. It just depends on the product, the topic, the quality, the value, the audience. One way, here's a good one, Alejandro. I use this on my webinars too. Now I just love that I'm riffing. I ask a question on the webinar of people, and you could do this in advance too. I say, what's one new client worth to you? What's one new customer worth to you? We all know that, right? Down to the penny in our head. A new client is worth exactly, $196.48 to me. Well, then I know in my mind, if I sell you a product for $197, all you got to do is get one new client and it paid for itself. So that's another way to think about how to price your programs, how to price your services, is find out what new customers are worth to them and their business. And this gets a lot easier if you focus on a niche audience, because it's going to be a similar amounts, right? So ask them, say, what is it? What is one new customer worth? What's one new client worth? If they tell you one new client is worth $5,000 to me, then your product, your service, if it helps them get one new client, it's worth a lot of money. So great questions, great questions. If you've got questions, if you're watching live, follow the lead of Chum and Brandon and everybody else. Just type them in, and I'll be happy to answer them here on the live feed. We've got more questions. Ashley has a question. I want to know, what are the best, most enticing offers you can promote at the end of a webinar that make people want to purchase your products or services? What offers are best to promote and which ones stink? She is with Untapped Social, untappsocial.com. Ashley, very cool. Hey, there you are. I love it. Yeah, Ashley, this is so funny. I'm not like rigging this to see people coming in. That's funny. Okay. So Ashley, I just asked your question as far as the best offers, really, how would I say this? I have a whole script that I give away. Let me see if I can paste some of it in. It will be actually it's too long. I have a whole script inside the Webinars That Work training that walks through how to sell, like literally. But as far as the types of offers to create, again, kind of following on the heels of what we just said, you would want to really, extend what you're teaching, right? And knowing your audience, what's one new client worth, et cetera, et cetera. Your offer should always be related to what you just taught on the webinar, right? It shouldn't be out of left field. It shouldn't be different. One of my favorite ways to structure an offer on a webinar is get people excited. Like, for instance, with LinkedIn, when I'm selling my LinkedIn Riches training, teaching people how to get new business on LinkedIn, I spend most of the webinar getting them over this hurdle. See, if you're all watching visually, I'm making a hurdling motion. If you're listening, sorry, just imagine the hurdle. But I have to get people over the hurdle of even using LinkedIn for sales. So I spend the first part of the webinar with LinkedIn Riches just, getting over that objection of, wow, there's an opportunity here. It's not just a job seeker website. It's not just for recruiters. LinkedIn has 500 million people, and it's a B2B, basically warehouse of prospects with 500 million people at your fingertips to sell to. Once you get people excited and thinking about that and going, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. I never saw LinkedIn in this light. I could do this, I could do that. Then I give them a few things they can do, to improve their LinkedIn presence and find some leads. Then the natural extension, the natural offer, Ashley, is I say, now, wouldn't it be great if you already had a proven framework, a proven roadmap, one that's been working for 5 years, one that people are using to make as much as $50,000 a month with? Great. That's my LinkedIn Riches training. Here it is. And I'm going to sell it to you for, I think it's $1,500 on the webinar. And, what's one new client worth? $5,000. Here you go. Get a client. It paid for itself 10 times over. And that's how you structure the offer. It's a natural extension of the training. And one of the best ways to structure your offer is, here's the opportunity for you. Here's what you're missing if you're not utilizing. Let's go to Brandon Clark in the Amazon example. Here's what you're missing on if you're not using Amazon, as a place to sell products and services and resell. You're missing millions of dollars, pre-qualified buyers, one-click sells. But, obviously it can feel overwhelming, right? Where do I start? How do I get involved? Can somebody show me what to do? Brandon could say, here, I'll just do it for you, right? Hire me to do it. Or hire my company to do it for you, and we take a fee. Or would you like a course that literally shows you where to click and what to do? So for you, Ashley, with Untapped Social, hey, Valerie, good to see you. Yeah, you can ask questions too, Valerie. You're not late. You're just fashionably late. Ashley, tell me about the services that you guys offer, Untapped Social. Is it some kind of social media services or products? Basically, you could say, I'm just going to riff here for a minute, Ashley, until I see your comment, but you could basically say, hey, here's the value and power of social media, impressions, clicks, whatever. Now, rather than having to guess and create a successful campaign and figure out what to do, wouldn't you love somebody who's already had a proven track record of success to do it for you, right? People will always pay for fast, easy, and convenient. So write that down, Ashley. I'm on a roll right now. But people will always pay for fast, easy, and convenient, and they will always pay done for you if you've proven to them and demonstrated that you're the person who can do that, right? So social selling consultant, right? So you could say, hey, you know what? Do you want somebody who knows what works with social, who can remove the guesswork? Like on your webinar, Ashley, you could say, for the last 30 minutes, I've just shown you through these case studies and through these, blah, blah, blah stories that I've told you how valuable Facebook marketing is. Now imagine, rather than having to do this yourself, and actually this goes into knowing your audience, right? Who's your target audience? Is it the small business owner who is super busy and doesn't have time to do it all themselves? They don't have a team, whatever. You would say, now I know for most of you running your own business, you don't have time to become a Facebook expert. The algorithm changes daily. Like, you can't stay on top of this. What if you had someone that could just do it for you? That you could just hand the keys over to. We would run it. We would have results. We would measure it. That's what we do. And the power of a webinar to sell actually is you've built that trust. Over this hour together, people have gotten to know you, like you, and trust you if you've done it right, because you've shared a bit about your life, your story, your struggle, your journey, your family. They see your face, right? They get to know you and like you and trust you, and you've demonstrated expertise. You've demonstrated knowledge, you've demonstrated expertise that specifically will help them make more money. Now your offer, your sale is, I'll do it for you, right? I'll do it for you, or I'll coach and mentor your team, make it super easy. So yeah, all right, so, okay, and yeah, okay, so Chum is jumping in. Do these tips apply to insurance or risk loss products? Of course they do, right? So Chum, depending on the type of insurance or the type of products you're doing with risk loss is, what would happen? That's the jam. I love it, Ashley. Good. I'm liking everything up here. Valerie, okay. All right, I love it. So our fashion in sunny Florida is flip-flops and shorts, says Valerie. That's funny. Okay, so, Chum, yes, it works in any niche, any industry. Webinars in particular work for anything, right? And people always ask me, that's another question I get, is will my audience attend? Of course they will. If you make it enticing enough, if you really understand your audience and what they want, people spend time on anything, right? Think about even one thing I love about, people saying to me, well, my audience is very sophisticated. It's executives, or it's this group, or it's this. They're not going to waste time on a webinar. Well, do they waste time going to conferences? Do they waste time going to trade shows? Do they waste time on, phone calls and meetings and coffee meetups? Of course they do. Will they waste time on a webinar? You bet they will. If you structure it right, and if you incentivize it enough for them to go, geez, if I miss this, I'm going to miss an opportunity, right? Nobody wants to miss out. So if you structure a webinar correctly, for your core audience, for Chum's core audience, who are the people that need the insurance or risk loss products, right? Who is your target audience? What we do is we go to them and we say, what are your key selling points, right? What are the things that you can help them with? Is it how to save, how to reduce your insurance costs by 40%? Free webinar, right? How to ensure your business is covered for catastrophic events, 3 questions you never ask, but you should. Stuff like that gets them intrigued. Curiosity is such a big element to getting people on webinars. I can't tell you that enough. In fact, if you go to my Webinars That Work sign-up page, it says how I stumbled into a webinar system that generates $37,000 a month without me being online. Right, so I'll actually copy that into the comments, and you can see just the headline of my webinar gets people intrigued. So yeah, here it is. So that's the headline. Like, curiosity is the number one way to get people intrigued in your products and services. If you read that headline I just put in the comments, how I stumbled into a webinar system that generates $37,547 per month without me being online. Aren't you curious? Wait a minute, like, it's a webinar. Don't you have to be online? Don't you have to use all your energy and time, and you're generating a good amount of revenue, but you're not online? Like, what's going on? I got to find out. Like, it opens this loop. People call it open loops. So that's another big thing you want to think about. Let's get to more questions because we have so many. And I know people are here, and we've already gone through 40 minutes. This is awesome. All right, so Cheryl Matt has a question. Cheryl says, I would like to know more about the mechanics of doing a webinar. What are the best tools for people when they start and don't want to invest a lot of money, and other technical tips? Oh, Cheryl Matt, you're my hero. And this is why these are the number one concerns and objections people have. And in fact, I've structured the entire Webinars That Work training to cover that. So, I just mentioned the headline, the curiosity, and I'll put in the link again. It's webinarsthatwork.net/join. That's the free training that answers your entire question, Cheryl. But here's the deal. And I riffed on this on a podcast and a blog the other day, but as far as the platforms, okay, I have one platform that I love and I swear by and I use nonstop for webinars. It costs me less than $400 a year for unlimited attendees, unlimited webinars. That's number one. It's not expensive. This platform also has all the registration pages. It has all the landing pages. It sends out all the emails. It does all the follow-up. I don't even need a website to use it. Like there's no tech required, right? The only tech you need for a webinar is a laptop, a microphone, and something to create your presentation with. And oh, by the way, on that free training I linked up to, webinarsthatwork.net/join, I tell you how for $7 a month, there's the greatest software design tool on earth that has over 100 pre-done templates for online presentations. So if you're a coach or consultant, they have a pre-made template that says coaches and consultants. You fill in the blanks. It's perfectly designed. It's amazing. It's visually stunning. It doesn't cost you anything. Well, $7 a month if you want the premium version. You can also have a free version. But there are simple ways to do this. And that's the big hurdle people are having right now with webinars is, oh, it just feels overwhelming. How much money, how much tech, how many tools? Do I have to build out a bunch of website pages? Do I have to hire a graphic designer? No, not at all. There's one platform you can use, incredibly cost efficient, right? $1 a day. What is that? $397 a year, something like that. That does everything. Registration pages all pre-built. Emails are pre-written. You just send them out. You have this software presentation tool, $7 a month. You fill in the blanks. It's already done. It's already designed. You don't have to hire anybody. And then the equipment, all you need is your laptop and your microphone. Now, if you're going, I don't know what to say, I don't know how to sell, I don't know what to do, well, that's where my training, right? My full training gives you 70 pages of scripts that you can literally read into the microphone and sell with and do the whole webinar. But sign up for the free training because I'll cover all those tools in depth, okay? Hey, Mike, good to see you. Hello. Mike Heckendorf is here. Another question, Ray Hofstedt. My question is, are guitar teachers using webinars to find new students? I build and sell guitars at art fairs. Well, that's interesting. The top question is, do I give guitar lessons? I can say I am working on developing a course. No lead pages yet. Angry Mushroom Emporium.com. The Angry Mushroom. All right, Ray. That's an interesting topic. I think you could use guitar teachers definitely could use webinars to find new students because that would be a fun way for you to play live on air, show them some stuff, right? Play some music, show them some chords. Here, I got my guitar right here, Ray. Right, so we could literally do a Facebook Live, a webinar. Okay, everybody, here's a G chord, right? And then you go to C, D. Ray and the Angry Mushroom are here. Yes, it would work great, Ray. It would work great. You just have to make it fun and entertaining and value-packed. Give them some, quick wins for guitar. But I'm a little confused. Are you trying to sell lessons or sell guitars? But with Facebook ads, you could definitely target guitar fanatics, guitar players, fans of guitar pages. It'd be easy. Joe Lynch. All right. Joe has a question. What is the best webinar software? Joe, come on the free training. I'll tell you. Sylvia. Hello. Good to hear from you. I admire your courage to try something new. I'm doing the same. I wonder, how could a webinar be useful? This is Sylvia Lewis' question. How could a webinar be useful for my outside-of-the-box storytelling boutique business? We are picky about our clients because we are small, dedicated, and specialized. We are interested in leaders who want to be change makers, artists, etc. Okay, and I'm just going to skip to it. We want sophisticated clients. Yeah, Sylvia, the only problem I have with what you're saying is we got to have a hook. We got to have a hook in there. Webinars work for anything. You just have to have the right hook and the right audience. Look at this. Stella says, we sell guitars. Yeah. So that's definitely a passion. Here's the thing about webinars for the Angry Mushroom Ray and for Stella and for everybody else. Here's the deal. Like, if you build your product or service around something that other people are passionate about, they will purchase. They will show up, right? I just listened to a guy named Cliff Ravenscraft who developed he's like a podcasting guru and, podcast answer man and all this stuff. He got his start in podcasting around the TV show Lost, right? He got his big break podcasting about the TV show Lost. Remember that on ABC? It was really popular for several years. that's how he got in and built a fan base, right? And it was around a passionate topic, and people were showing up, and he was doing live shows. This is years ago, right? And then he's like, oh, wow, the tool is really popular. People are asking me, they love my podcast, the production quality, the value, the style. Now they want me to teach them how to do their own podcast about what they're passionate about. So see how he took something people were passionate about, gathered them around, and then sold, the recipe. So same idea with the guitars, everything else. Sylvia, back to your question. I need to know more. I mean, I think kind of where your idea is great. I think maybe what it is you market yourself as, how to tell a better story for your business, how to sell more using story, the power of stories for sales. And then you can have a webinar where you really teach those techniques and teach that and show some examples and the power of storytelling. Then at the end, your call to action could be, hey, if you want to work with us, fill out an application, right? We're super picky. We're very selective of who we use, and, you've got to line up with our values and goals. But if this is of interest to you, fill out the application, we'll talk more. That works really well sometimes as a sales technique because it's going to weed out people that aren't serious and are just kind of tire kicking and stuff like that, and it's going to get your highly qualified leads to go, yeah, wow, she's selective. I really want her to pick me. I'll go through the extra work to fill out the application. So that's a good one, Sylvia. Good question. So we got a couple more. All right. Don't give up your day job, Valerie says. That's funny. Wholesale merchant services. And I got an email I got to get back to you on about that, Valerie. Let me answer some of these written ones, and I'll get yours, Valerie. So Gwyneth says, I sense that people are getting fed up with the sales thing 3/4 of the way through a webinar, including me. The attendance bonus at the end doesn't work as well as it used to. What ideas do you have about a sales pitch within a webinar? Gwyneth is with my target audience, coaches and consultants. Feel good. Coachingandconsulting.com. Oh, I like that. I like that, Gwyneth. Feelgoodcoachingconsulting.com. Here's the thing with webinars and selling, and this is where so many people get stuck and so many people get burned out, is selling on a webinar should be natural. It shouldn't be forced. It shouldn't be difficult. And also, I'm not a believer in the fact that you have to bribe people to stay on your webinar. That's ridiculous. Like, so many people are like, you've got to put a carrot out there at the beginning. I'm going to give away an Apple Watch if you stay till the end. What that tells me about your webinar is your content's not good enough to keep me. Your content's not good enough to keep me engaged. My webinars, with the way that I've structured them, and I've spent thousands of hours and years doing this, right, is my content is good enough and engaging enough to keep you entertained all the way till the end. You don't want to leave because you're getting value. Right? When you watch your favorite TV show, your favorite movie, they don't say to you, please wait till the end and we'll give away an Apple Watch. You're just engaged. You're caught up in the story. You're caught up in it. You don't want to leave. So the number one thing is make a better webinar, right? Make better content. Make better presentation. I call it infotainment. When you do a good webinar, and you have the ability now with webinars to create what I call a hybrid webinar, where you can pre-record the presentation part and share that in seamlessly as part of the live webinar, you can have movie clips, you can have images moving, you can have cool stuff, things exploding, whatever, to keep people engaged, to keep them informed and entertained. But even when I was just doing straight, slides or things like that, as long as the content's good, as long as your personality and your storytelling abilities are good, people are not going to leave. They're going to be finding value in it, right? So you shouldn't need to bribe people to stay. And then as far as selling, people are not going to be mad about selling if you do a couple of things properly. One is if you give enough value during the training period. Hey, thanks for the little hearts flying across here on the live screen. As long as you give enough value during the training period, people are naturally going to want more, right? And that's where that permission step comes in. And at the beginning of this video, at the beginning of the recording, I talked about the 9 steps to structure a successful webinar. That's where the transition comes in, where you say, now, can I have your permission to show you more? Do you want more? Let me ask you a question. Have you found this helpful? Are you excited? Would you love to learn more about how you can do this even more effectively and efficiently? When you do it that way, people aren't upset. Like, again, if you've just demonstrated to me for 30 or 40 minutes 5 ways that I can immediately go out and win new business for myself using LinkedIn, why wouldn't I want to hear about the full system? Why wouldn't I want to hear about an easier way and a better way to do it? That's just a natural extension. I think to answer your question, Cheryl, I think people just get burned out on bad webinars, right? And we should be on a mission to have good webinars. There's no reason you should have to suffer through a webinar in hopes of winning an Apple Watch because the content's so bad. And it shouldn't be a clunky transition to an overt sales pitch if they haven't shown you enough value, right? So hopefully that helps. I know I'm on my soapbox a little bit, but I get fired up about this stuff. Let's see. Okay, so Arthur Rego, cloudsuitepro.com. All right. Arthur has a question, a written question. Oh, people are liking the songs. Good. Okay. Gwyneth says good. Makes sense. All right. Mike. Okay. I'll get that. Okay. So, Mike, I'll get to some of these live questions. Well, let's stop. No, I'll get to Arthur. My ADD is taking over. Okay, Arthur, a couple of questions. What are some key reasons webinars should be part of your content marketing strategy? How can webinars drive and generate high-quality leads? Two great questions, Arthur. Two great questions. Here's the deal. Webinars should be part of your content marketing because they can live on forever. They can reach a global audience. You can bottle up the content inside your webinar and share it a bunch of different ways. So for example, I run multiple webinars for my Webinars That Work program. So here's an example. I've got different styles of webinars, different types of training. What I do is I have one webinar I adjusted to my audience. What I found with the Webinars That Work training was I was doing a very advanced training. Here's the 9 steps to structuring a successful webinar. People loved it, right, etc., but they weren't purchasing the program. And the reason was, when I got audience feedback and talked to people, they still didn't know what platform do I pick, or I don't know how to design slides, or how would I get people to show up. So I had to take a step back. All right, take a step back and go, okay, I'm going to do a much more simpler, in my mind, a simple version of here's the right platform to choose and why. Here's how easy it is to use. Here's an easy way to make slides, even if you have no graphic design skills and no budget, right? Here's an easy way to get people on the webinars. That webinar is converting like crazy, right? Because I'm addressing those objections up front that are holding people back. Now, I didn't throw away that other webinar. It's become part of my content marketing strategy. So I took the 30-minute training block on those 9 steps to structure, and I give that away now as a free gift. So if you sign up for the webinar, or you're on my email list, you will get a free gift sometimes of, hey, here's a free training if you want to dive deeper into some advanced strategies, the 9 steps behind structuring a webinar. You can also take your webinars, you can put them on YouTube, SEO value, you can turn them into ebooks. There's all kinds of ways to use it as content marketing. And then the second part, Arthur, how can you get high quality leads? I'll say this from experience doing these for 5 years. There are no more high quality leads than webinars because people have just spent an hour with you. People have just spent an hour with you sitting at your feet, learning and listening and getting to know, like, and trust you. Those are the best leads on earth, right? Think about this. What it takes me as an attendee to trust you enough to want to spend an hour sitting and listening to Arthur teach me, right? And then listening to Arthur pitch me his product and then buying it. Like, those are the best leads on earth. So that's why I'm all in on webinars, is because you get such high quality people, high quality leads. You can sell a high quality product and you can do it to a global audience. There's no limitations, okay? So let's do that. Let's get to a couple of live questions. Mike says, why would a business not want to have their info video on the first page of Google? Well, of course they would, Mike, right? Like, who wouldn't want to be on page 1 of Google? And one interesting thing about Google and YouTube, and one thing people are kind of, I still see people not understanding YouTube correctly. It's the second largest search engine on earth. And Google owns YouTube. So anything you put on YouTube, tutorials, trainings, how-to videos, those get indexed and show up in Google search results on the Google search pages, right? So I get tons of traffic, 30, 40,000 views on how-to videos about LinkedIn. And that drives leads in to my LinkedIn Riches business, to my webinar, to my book, because people Google how to set up a LinkedIn profile. And what shows up? But my YouTube video, right? How to set up your LinkedIn profile. And I walk through and I give value and I train. And then the call to action inside the video and in the text is, want to learn more, get on my free webinar. So yes, Mike, video's awesome. Of course they'd want to be ranked. Good stuff. All right, so let's see. We've got some other questions. Varange is asking, I hope I said that right, Varanjo Ma, I would like to know whether it's possible to make webinars interactive, and if so, how? Can webinars become a sustainable source of income? Your business name is Excelisa. ExcellaLeadershipGroup.com. Sorry, I'm butchering it. But yes, good questions. Can you make webinars interactive? Of course. Incredibly interactive. The platforms now, and I have my favorite platform. Go on the training. I'll walk you through it all. The free training, webinars@work.net/join. But you can have people actually, obviously you have a live chat box. You can ask questions. You can run polls on your webinar so people vote. One of the things I do on my live or hybrid webinars to get the audience engaged, I have a couple of things I do. Right away in the beginning, I say, welcome to the webinar. And this is during step one, the warm-up phase. I say, welcome to the webinar. Now, I want everybody here, I want to get to know you. So tell me two quick things. Where are you logging in from, and what type of work do you do? Type that into the chat box right now. Tell me right now. And so then people type in. You have to coach them right from the beginning of the webinar to engage, to be interactive. So then people type in, this is Joe in New York. I'm a dentist. And then I can riff off of that as the presenter. Oh, Joe in New York, dentist. Awesome. Great to have you here. Don't ask me if I brushed and flossed last night. Like just using my personality. People start engaging. And what I have learned with live and hybrid webinars is you've got to get people engaging right away. The more that I feel like I'm interacting with you personally as the presenter, the more likely I am to stay on the webinar, to stay engaged, to keep typing comments, to keep asking questions. I run a lot of polls on my live webinars. So I'll ask one poll, what is one new client worth to you, to kind of establish the pricing. I'll run a poll that basically says, what was your favorite 1980s movie if I'm doing a 1980s riff, stuff like that, just to keep people engaged. Some of the webinar platforms too, you can actually put people on live on the air, like talk radio or TV, like, okay, I'm going to have you come on live and talk to me. So there's lots of ways to engage. The key thing is ask people questions about themselves. Our number one thing that we all love to talk about is ourselves, right? This goes back to one of my favorite books of all time, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. He wrote it in 1936, and he said, and I use this in all my webinars, as hopefully we're back. My signal got paused. But I was just doing a Dale Carnegie quote. Your customers are only interested in themselves, morning, noon, and after dinner. So if you want more engagement on webinars, ask people to talk about themselves. Tell me your story. Where are you from? What type of work do you do? What are you struggling with? What are we doing on this Facebook Live right now? I'm asking you to tell me about yourself. Tell me about your business. Tell me your questions. What are you having issues with, right? Same idea. All right, so Aflac Joe Schelling. Aflac. I bet you never get that, Joe. Is the duck, do you know the duck commercial? The Aflac duck was created by running into video issues. Okay, hopefully you guys can still hear me. Stella says, this is what I like about your stuff. You make people comfortable. Well, thank you, Stella. That's the idea. Good. I'm glad you feel that way. That's awesome. So Joe says, I have limits of where I can do business. How do I generate interest for webinars for local businesses only? Great question, Aflac Joe. Can I call you Aflac Joe? I feel like we're good friends now. You can use two of my favorite methods on earth to promote your webinar. The number one favorite method of all time is LinkedIn, okay? Because if you use LinkedIn, you have 500 million prospects, Joe, that you can sell insurance to, and you can use LinkedIn like a big old search engine. It's like Google for professionals. So you go into LinkedIn search, you type in the job title of the person you want to sell to or whatever it is, the industry type. You can filter your LinkedIn search by zip code, by city, by state, so you can find an exact regional audience to sell to. Glory! LinkedIn, the gift that keeps on giving. All of that's covered in LinkedIn Riches. Go to linkedinriches.com/join. I cover all that in that training. That's number one. You could also run Facebook ads, Joe, if you want to spend money. LinkedIn is free, of course, right? That's why I love LinkedIn. You could also run Facebook ads by zip code, so you're only targeting people in a certain region, your territory, whatever it is. Simple. Great question, though. Let me get to a couple more, and then I know we're going to run out of time. We got to wrap up here. Eddie Hilliard says, what's the fastest way to build groups and add Followers. What's the fastest way to build groups and add followers? The fastest way is become a media company. Do what I'm doing. Do a Facebook Live. Do a podcast. Do a guest blog. Create content. A lot of people will tell you that the holy grail is just buy your traffic. Just go to the traffic store and buy attention, right? Here's the problem with that. If you're selling a higher end product or service, think about yourself. If you see a Facebook ad from a person you've never heard of, promising you blah, 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 how likely are you to immediately buy from them, right? You don't know them, you don't like them, you don't trust them. Now, depending on what they're offering, it's going to take them time to nurture you far enough along to buy from them. Whereas, if people come into your world via a podcast, via a Facebook Live, via a guest blog, via something of value, a webinar, they already see that you're an expert. They already see your expertise. They already know you, like you, and trust you. So that's a much better way to do business. And the beautiful thing about the era we live in today is you can be a media company. You can have your own TV station, right? I just decided I created a radio station, Nemo Radio, right? That's me. And I've got a podcast. I can reach the whole world, right, with the distribution channels. You can reach the whole world with Facebook Live. So create really valuable content that solves a specific set of problems for a specific set of people, and then share it everywhere. And what you'll find is if you win people on your content, on your expertise, on your training, if you win them in to your world that way versus paying for them, they're much better quality prospects. They're much more likely to buy, right? I have never seen, and I know everybody's out there promising it every day, the Holy Grail. Believe me, I wish it was true. I wish I was able to magically, flip a button and just pay money for Facebook to send me people. But I think it's bigger than that. I think you need to build a brand. You need to build authority. You need to build expertise. Humans have not changed. We're not going to give money to people we don't know, we don't like, and we don't trust. And the best way for me to win your trust and to win your knowledge is to talk to you and interact with you and teach you and demonstrate to you that I'm good at what I do and show you how I can help you achieve your goals. If I can do that, I'm going to have no shortage of customers. That's not the easy answer. That's not the sexy answer. We'd all just rather buy our traffic, right? But it just doesn't work. I think Facebook ads work good to supplement. I'm putting my glasses back on to look smarter. But I think Facebook ads work good to retarget and to supplement, but there's no way around it. Content is currency. Oh, now I'm getting into my good stuff here. So listen up. Your content is your currency. If you want to buy the time and attention of people online, create great content. Your content is your currency to buy their time and attention. That's why I create guest blogs. That's why I create podcasts. Repurpose it all, okay? And Brandon has a good one. Do giveaways. Yeah, giveaways are good. Give away your products. That's what I do too. I give away, by the way, if you don't have it yet, you can get my book for free. This is the #1 way I grow my list. So I'm glad Brandon mentioned that. If you go to linkedinriches.com, I give you my book for free, right? And I'll put the link in right now. LinkedInriches.com, I give you my entire book for free. That's a giveaway, right? Here's my entire book. All I ask for in exchange is your email address. And what I do then is I give you my book, which is my best content, right? You read the book, you get to know, like, and trust me through the book. And as you go through the book, I'm able to send you emails and talk to you more and engage you more and get you over to my webinar where I can sell you a $1,000 or $2,000 program. You've been warmed up. You came in with no risk, taking a free book, and I had to prove to you I knew my stuff about LinkedIn. So great points, Brandon. Affleck Joe, great tips on LinkedIn. Joe, get on the LinkedIn Riches training. It's going to help you a ton, especially we have a ton of people in there that do insurance. So I think that would be a good one. Be a media company. I mean, cold calling is horrible, dude. Don't ever do cold. Joe was talking about transitioning out. I hate cold calling. Let me ask you this. Does anyone here on the Facebook Live or listening, do you like being interrupted? Do you like when people knock on your door while you're eating dinner with your family and try to sell you, whatever it is? Do you like people calling you and interrupting your day? No, you hate it. So why would we market that way, right? Because we don't know a better way. But the way that the internet has changed everything is now if I need help, I don't wait for someone to interrupt me. I go to Google. How do I sell on LinkedIn? I type that in and I look for free resources and I look for free training videos and I look for free webinars. And then if those impress me, then I buy the paid product, right? Or I find someone I know, like, and trust, and if they tell me, if John Nemo tells me, hey, you should go buy this copywriting course from Ray Edwards if you need help with copywriting, I trust John Nemo, I'm going to go buy it. John doesn't recommend junk, right? So that's how you build a brand and build authority. And by the way, that's affiliate marketing. That's a way to make more money too for yourself with your audience when you grow an audience. You see all the successful people now, these entrepreneurs that have these big lists, John Lee Dumas, Pat Flynn, all these guys. They make so much money on affiliate marketing, recommending other people's products because they have the trust of their audience, right? That's the big thing, is if you build a list, if you build a group of people paying attention to you and your content, your quality is good, then they'll buy the stuff you recommend if it makes sense for them. So that's a big thing, and that's probably a good place to finish on. Valerie's saying, no, no, no. Uh-oh, I don't know what happened. But I want to thank you guys for being on. This was a fun Facebook Live. This was fun. I'm going to put this out, the audio, and obviously replay the video. So for those listening on the podcast right now, Nemo Radio, thank you. If you're not on the podcast, if you're on the Facebook Live, go into the iTunes store, type in John Nemo and podcast, or type in Nemo Radio, and you'll be able to listen to a bunch of different podcast episodes. One of the big things, no to interruptions, Valerie's saying. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I hate it too, right? Valerie, let's try to think. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Valerie, I'm going to email you about the merchant services because I did get your reply. I want to think on that a little bit. Valerie is one of my LinkedIn Riches students inside the paid training, so I take care of my people in there. You get free coaching calls every month, all kinds of stuff. So here's what I would say. If you want to dive deeper on any of the topics that we covered today, there's two places to go. One, if you want to get more tips on selling on LinkedIn, like Like Joe and everybody else, go to linkedinriches.com/join. That's a free webinar there. It's going to give you a bunch of help, get you started, get you moving the right way. If you want more tips on webinars, and we talked a lot about webinars, and specifically on overcoming those key objections that we all have, is what platform do I choose? How do I create slides? What are the costs? What's the tech? Is this hard? No, it's not. But get on that training, and that will show you everything. Webinars.work.net/join. Okay, those are two different free webinars I have. They're my best trainings in those areas. You're going to get a ton of value and content, and you're going to love it. So with all that said, oh, thanks, Valerie, for the shout out about LinkedIn Riches. I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for being on. I'm going to end the live broadcast for now. This was really fun. I'm going to do the next show next week. So get on, make sure you're on. You've liked the Webinars That Work Facebook page. If you're listening to the audio, go to facebook.com/webinars that work. Like the page. You'll get alerts when I go live. Also on my email lists, I'll let people know too when the next show is. I think it's going to be next Tuesday at probably around the same time, 10 a.m. So we'll do more of this. If you've got more questions, send them in. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. That was awesome, and we'll talk more soon.